What's up, everybody? Good morning. This is Gina Ifoe, the one and only African superstar, back at it again. Want to give a big shout out to the customers of the AfricanSuperstar.com and our members only who support our platform on a monthly basis, those with a circle next to their name. And last but not least, all of the lovers of the African Superstar Music Project. So the latest with that is I just released my freestyle last week. It's all on the community tab. It's called One and Only. You can also download on all of your streaming platforms as well as purchase the track directly from bandcamp.com. That's BANDCAMP.com. You can just go there, type in The African Superstar, and all 6 of the tracks currently released will come out. Today, I have an unpopular opinion, which is love is an action word. So obviously here on the channel, I've talked a lot about my perspective on reciprocal relationships and my belief that there should be a mutuality in relationships, be it romantic, be it friendship, be it familial. I think it's very, very important because when there is a reciprocity, there's a lot of depth that is in that relationship. Both parties know that they're wanted. Both parties know that they're needed. Both parties have the confidence in the other that if a situation happens, that they can sort through it and they can arise through it. I think our culture promotes those that are loving, those that are generous, those that are willing to invest themselves emotionally in people, to engage and continue relationships with people that are not reciprocated. And to that, I want to say, love is an action word. Okay. A lot of times that's where you're going to know where people stand in regards to you. You're going to know where they stand when it comes down to the nitty gritty. When you have a problem or you need encouragement or support, or, someone sees maybe you're going in a bad direction in life and they kind of intervene and they kind of try to guide you or support you. These are the moments when you really, really know who's in your corner and who's not. I think that you can kind of hone in faster if you understand that love is an action word. You won't have to ask yourself a million times, does this woman love me? Is this woman into me? You won't have to ask, is a friendship one-sided, for instance? You won't have to ask, well, does this person believe in my journey, for instance? Does this person support my endeavors? Because if you're able to assess this by doing what I'm saying, then you can answer that question before it ever comes to the moment. Now, there are also relationships that start out on the right direction, and at some point, they become unreciprocated. That's also another indication. Maybe something has happened. Maybe you have had a problem or miscommunication or whatever, lost trust, whatever, that is contributing to the relationship no longer being reciprocated. This can also happen. It's very possible that you start out having wonderful relationships with people, and then eventually the relationship gets to this very point. There are also situations when the relationship is like that from the very beginning. And for one reason or another, or maybe you just love that person, you really want to be their friend, you really want to be their partner, or it's a family member, and you're just dying, to have this person be a part of your life. So you ignore a lot of things. You ignore some of the cardinal signs and whatnot. And that context will usually be there for the duration. I encourage you guys not to ignore, such things. Like, let's say, you get with someone and they don't text you back, or they're slow to text you back, or when you call them, they don't pick your call, or, they say they're going to call you back and they never call you back. Now, this is immediately upon you getting associated with this person. This is how they behave. Okay. If you continue the relationship, you can't really complain that it hasn't changed or whatever, because that's the original presentation. So as long as you deal with that person, expect that, because I would say, even me, as busy as I am, and most people in 2022, 2023, I mean, we have our phones with us everywhere. You know what I'm saying? We see the notifications, we have Messenger on Facebook. Um, we're nobody's not seeing your messages. And if people that are very busy, they're working, they're entrepreneurs, they've got projects, they're doing this, they're traveling, if those people can manage to keep up with those that they want to talk to, then who's busy? You know what I mean? Who's busy? It's just a level of whether or not they think that you are worth that time that they're going to communicate. And I also want to say that communication is at the heart of all relationships. I'm sorry. No matter what kind of relationships they are, communication is at the heart. When there are issues with the communication, there will probably likely be issues with the relationship, because communication is necessary. And depending the nature of the relationship, like let's say it's marital, okay, frequent communication is very necessary, you know, because otherwise things can creep in, and a situation can look one way to you, but it can look another way to the other person. And unless you guys are communicating, you will never be able to understand what is happening. You know what I'm saying? You'll be thinking, like recently, I've had a situation where, I completely in the dark about a person's perspective on a certain situation. Completely in the dark. I have no idea. This person just suddenly stopped talking to me. You know what I mean? I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. I don't even have any inkling of a situation. There was no fight. There was no, anything to lead up to it. Obviously from that person's perspective, they have some kind of reasoning or justification for what's going on. But I have no idea. And so communication would be so critical in this situation, to just make it known whatever your issues is. But that's why I say love is an action word. Okay. Love is something that's perpetual. When you care about a person, you don't want to be the source of their pain. You don't want to do things that would jeopardize the situation. You know what I mean? You're always handle those that you love with care. Okay. And obviously, we do have some people that are dysfunctional. They've grown up in certain circumstances, maybe abusive homes, or, emotional neglect. And so, it's difficult for them to have normal adult relationships or these kind of things. They didn't grow up in that situation, so they don't really know how to express it. But I'm going to stick with my pretense that love is an action word. At a point, despite whatever has happened to you, you should be able to decipher who is legit and who's not legit. Okay. You should be able to know which relationships are worth preserving and which are not. You know what I mean? And if a person is making efforts on their side, and you care about that person, despite maybe your issues with relationships or your past or whatever, you overcome those things to maintain a relationship. Love is an action word. I give the example, like me, for instance, I've had lots of relationships. I've even had a failed marriage. Okay. But to be honest, I love men. Love men. No matter how situations have not worked out, I have not allowed that to prevent me from trying again and whatnot in relationships. I also have not allowed that from in my perspective of men that I'm dating or dealing with. The fact that this last guy did this or that, or this guy did something 10 years ago, or whatever. You know what I mean? I try my best in that area to give a person the benefit of the doubt, because honestly, they can't be responsible for the actions of someone else. Okay. You're holding maybe this person who is in your life accountable for what a man did to you 5 years ago. And that man has no, you know what I mean? He has no ability to rectify that situation. All he can do is perhaps be good to you. And I also want to say that if you are in situations and you feel that, the relationship is one-sided, which I would say if we take inventory, a lot of times, many of the relationships we're in are one-sided and we don't necessarily see it. But if we took the time to analyze it, we would see it. Um, you need to kind of release the responsibility from those situations back onto the person who is causing it. Because typically the person who's more invested in the situation, or the person that cares more, is going to be the person reaching out, the person, trying to figure out what's happening, the person who's really, really upset about it or whatever. I challenge you to release that back onto the responsible parties and not ingest it, because it's not you. Like, you're showing love. You're doing the things that you understand are part of relationships. You're making the effort and you're trying to communicate and you're trying to spend time and you're trying to do this and that and the other. You're trying to extend a relationship or intimacy or whatever, and this person is not receiving it. That's not your problem. You've made your effort. Also appreciating good times in a relationship for what they are. Very, very important. I've come to realize on this journey, as Honesty puts it, that every person that is with you cannot accompany you where you're going, especially the further you're wanting to go. The more unapologetic about life you are, or your truth, a lot of people cannot accompany you on that journey. Even people that you've grown up with, even people you adore and love, even people from your childhood or various stages or whatever. Some people will not be able to go because they're just not willing to go, or they want different things. If your direction is taking you left and the other person's direction is taking them right, for everybody involved to be happy, they need to go the direction that their life is going. And for that, cherish the times that you have had. Cherish the memories. Don't let that necessarily be overshadowed by the fact that you guys have grown apart. Just understand, hey, for one reason or another, the situation is like what it is. And I'm going to appreciate it for what it was. It was a dynamic time. It was a great time, And I think if you can learn how to do those things, you're going to be able to navigate through life, because a lot of the devastation comes from our attachment and affiliation with other people that are not reciprocating the love. Big shout outs to Mind, Body, and Soul TV and Brown Coat Blue. If you're in the building, show me some love in the comments box. Unpopular opinions. Love is an action word. If you start assessing the actions of the people that are in your immediate circle or whatever, or the person you love or whatever, you'll be able to see who's real. I have people that I know very well that have never necessarily been a part of or supported any of my creative endeavors. This was kind of one of the telltale signs when I was still married. My ex-husband, when I started building my blog and doing my videos, he never entertained any of it. You know what I mean? And that was a sign. Meanwhile, there's been guys I've dated that watch my channel, comment on my videos, do all this stuff, support my brand, buy my music, all these kind of things. And it's like, okay, telltale sign. You know what I mean? In Ghana, fortunately for me, I have several girlfriends that are like die hard, ride hard for me. When I perform, they're there. I've even had, Monica came down to my video shoot. You know what I'm saying? Ayana's been on the scene with me multiple times. Stacy came and brought me breakfast one morning when I was shooting for Ghana Is Good For Me. You know what I mean? These are the kind of things that show and, just emanate love and support, because it's an action. Taking time out of their busy day to be there for me, to support. Last time I performed on Independence Day, Stacy, Monica, and sister, y'all stayed with me for hours. Okay. The promoter told us that I would go on at a certain time, and I went on much later than that, because apparently some of the other artists weren't ready or whatever. And, they stayed the whole time with me until they got to watch me perform and stuff like that. And these are the things that are just so memorable and special. It makes me love and cherish those that are a part of my new journey in my life so much. And to those of you guys that are a part of this channel, many of you have sent support to me, either financial, either you shopped on the website, you've bought the music, just watching the channel, sharing the videos, you're a moderator, you support it through members only. A lot of you guys have done a lot of things, Mind, Body, and Soul TV. She's done a lot of the things I said. I just want you to know how deeply meaningful it is to me, because I recognize that love is an action. When you are willing to go out on a limb for someone maybe that you don't personally know or whatever, align with my journey and help support me along the way, because obviously I can't do everything by myself. It means so much to me. And I also challenge you to continually assess those relationships. You know what I mean? When it comes down to like long-term relationships, I've had, unfortunately, a few very long-time friendships come to an end rather abruptly. And it's kind of like, damn, in my opinion, it's like we spent so much time together. Why don't we try to solve our problem or whatever problem it is, because on both ends, it just completely blindsided me, in those situations. And it's kind of like, well, just at least let me know where you're coming from. So it gives me an opportunity to address the problem, if there's a problem, if I'm doing something from my end. But as you continually assess the relationships, you can see, is that person still on a journey, especially if, it's a childhood friend, somebody from university, you guys have gone from children to adults, and maybe things are different now. Also, people begin other relationships. They become parents, or they get married, or they get a certain kind of demanding career. Maybe somebody goes into the military, or maybe they move to different states or countries. All these things can weigh in on the relationship. And, you got to assess sometimes where that person is. I think if you do this, it will really, really help you, because you'll be able to determine if the situation is a reciprocated situation or not. And if it's not, then you know that at that moment, the love is not there anymore. Because people that just say they love you, but there's absolutely no demonstration of the love, in my opinion, it's not love. You know what I mean? There are certain circumstances, like I would say, okay, look, if you're dealing with someone for addiction purposes, okay, like let's say a person has addiction, and this person has been stealing from you in your house, maybe it's your child or a, family member, sibling, something like that. And, you want this person to get help, and they just absolutely won't get help. And you continue to be victimized by them as you're trying to, help them, blah, blah, blah. In these kind of circumstances where it's like you tell the person, look, I can no longer house you because you can't be trusted. You need to get help. And so you got to move on from here. This is an example of like what they would call tough love. Okay. But it's still an action. It's still an action that you're taking in the betterment of that person's situation. You know that they need to get help. Okay. And you're really trying to get through to them, and you've already given opportunities and they're abusing these opportunities. That's fine. But other, less complicated situations, the love's got to be an action word. I'm sorry, the love's got to be an action word. And if the person is actually taking interior knowledge that they know about you because of your relationship with them, and they're using it against you, you've got to pay attention to all these things. And these are messages I always send out to leaders, because they're so important. As we move and change and escalate our situation in life, we have to be very careful of our inner circle. It's just so important. People that are close to us can potentially be the most damaging to us because of all these things that I've said, because they know you. They know your whereabouts. They know how you are, how you think, what they have lots of information, maybe your secrets, and all of this. And maybe the relationship changes. You need to continually assess. You need to continually assess. And it's very powerful to be in relationships with people that are reciprocating. It's very, very, very powerful. Because nobody likes to be one-sided. No, especially nobody wants to be the side that is doing the effort. and the other person is rejecting them, or whatever. Nobody wants to be that side. Everybody wants to be in a reciprocated situation. But if you find that you're in a one-sided, you need to cut it. You really need to cut it. Big shout outs to the African superstar family. I see a couple of you guys here. So big shout outs to Mind, Body, and Soul TV and Brown Coat Blue. They're the only ones in the chat room, I guess. I know it might be kind of early in America, so I'll forgive you guys. Mind, Body, and Soul TV says, my biggest supporters have always been people I didn't know personally. It's a fact. Sometimes people really struggle to see you becoming something else, because in their mind, they see you one way. Maybe they see you, sometimes this is like your parents as well, because they see you as their child. They see you as a baby girl or baby boy. You grow up, you become a man and a woman, you start doing things, you start having your own opinion, you start making certain decisions, and your parents can't really understand because in their mind, you're still a child. And, they feel that they should have the ultimate say in what you do and this and that. It's difficult. Your peers, especially if you go through like a dramatic change. Let's say you were just kind of like the least picked in school for this football team or whatever, and then you grow into this massive football star. People will struggle to see you in that. I know some people struggle to see me as the African superstar. They struggle to see how the continent has been a benefit to my life. I recognize it's not for everyone, and I think everyone reserves that right to make that personal decision for themselves. But for me, it's been an amazing transition, and I think, I'm grateful that I've done that. But I also recognize it's not for everyone, and that's okay. We can have different lifestyles. It's no big deal. So that's today's unpopular opinion. Love is an action word, guys. And like I said throughout this broadcast, I really encourage you to assess the relationships that you're in to determine, is this thing reciprocated? Does this person love me? If you got to ask a lot of times, you know the answer. Okay? You know the answer. When you got to ask, does he love me? Is she into me? Does this person believe in me, or whatever kind of questions you got to ask, you know the answer. Once you get to the point you got to ask, you know the answer, because obviously there's been some doubt. There's been some questioning of how does this person feel, because there's not been any demonstration of how the person feels about it. Big shout outs. What's up? Brown Coat Blue says, the thing about finding our tribe, when we don't already know them, they're agreeing with you because they agree with you. They aren't just saying they agree just to try to hold on. Okay. So Brown Coat Blue is saying, when a person, you run into a person, and this person has the same interests as you. They're not just faking along with the fact that they like what you like. They're telling you what they like because you don't know them. They don't really have any ulterior motive at that point. Because they're just saying, oh yeah, I like Ghana. They're like, me too. And they're like, yeah, I've been traveling here for years and I like the food and this and that. Okay, this person has no idea that this is what you're into. They're just expressing what they're into. That's what Brown Coat Blue is essentially saying. So you can start from the place of like-mindedness and grow from there. It can take you possibly to a higher place. I couldn't agree with this more, because honestly, this is my story. I talked about it on a previous live stream last week about how moving to Ghana and just like me pursuing a continent, how that has currently provided me like such amazing people in my life, such amazing, amazing people in my life. And they were basically the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. You know, they, for their various reasons, were doing similar things to what I was doing. And ultimately, for them, the continent was, their destination. Stacy, Sister Ya, Tawo, Lalit, Ayana. These people, I wouldn't have met them. They came from all over, different countries, different states. If it weren't for social media and just the fact of being in Ghana, I wouldn't have connected with these people. Unfortunately, I wasn't able necessarily to take someone along with me to Ghana, so I made that trek. And at the end of that trek were these people. I was just talking about Tawa. There she is. Big shout outs to T. I see you, sweetie. Thank you so much. Yes. So love is an action word, and the people that I really, really cherish and love, every person I've just listed, of my new tribe, as Brown Coat Blue calls it, each and every one of them has demonstrated on multiple occasions the love that they have for me. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. There's even been times I've had to call on them for whatever. Never bat an eye, never hesitate, never say no. None of them have said no to me. And it's just, it's remarkable. And so, although I feel like I'm in a season of shedding, a lot of relationships and, things from the past, I feel that I'm being well compensated with very high quality people, like-minded people, people that are willing to reciprocate, because I'll be honest with you, and I'm going to wrap up this live stream. Anybody who knows me knows I'm quite an emotional person, about various things. I'm very ethical about other things, but other things are very, very important to me. One of those things is obviously my relationships. I very, very much cherish people that I love, because of what I'm talking about today. So in that respect, I'm always very, very mindful of them and trying to give the love and affection, the appreciation that I feel is important. And it's frustrating doing that and not being able to get it back. So it's amazing that at this point of the game, even though several of my foundational relationships are coming to an end or have come to an end, I've been compensated with these very, very rich and promising relationships that I have now. I feel very, very loved and cherished by all of my friends, in Ghana and around the world. Some of my friends are they're not in Ghana or no longer in Ghana, but I feel very, very deeply loved, and it's so special. So this is my unpopular opinion today. Again, I really encourage you guys to begin to review these relationships, especially those of you that are leaders, because typically, if we have some kind of situation, it can affect us really hard, because it's just like, oh my gosh, maybe you don't have a lot of friends to start out with or whatever, or maybe it's your spouse and you're just like, no, I don't want this to happen. If the relationship is not reciprocal, then maybe for some time that person is letting you know that, yeah, I'm not really invested in this situation. I hear you. We can, we can correspond on that and see, because the collaborations be I spent the better part of the year trying to work on my collaboration, and it's taking a lot of effort. So we'll see. I'm not making any promises, but we'll see. All right, family, I have to go. Thank you so much. I love you, die even more. I appreciate that so much. The love from my homegirls is just so real. And I really, really love you guys. And I'm just so grateful that, you've come into my life over these last several years. But again, I always tell you guys, this is the result of me doing what I felt was right for me. I've had these people added to my life, and they're just so incredible. Seriously, so incredible. I mean, I just can't express how much I love them. And that's why I talk about them a lot on the channel. I want them to know it as well. You know, I can't do everything on my own. And without that strong support system, it's difficult. And I very much cherish the people that are down for me, and they just show the love, and they consistently show the love. It's serious. And it's important not only that I can call on them, but they know that they too can call on me when they're in need or whatever they need, or they want to talk or they want to hang out or whatever. I try very much to be available to all of those people. Nonetheless, guys, I got to roll out. Y'all know I'm in the UK, and I got a schedule, so I gotta go. So until we meet again, stay black and true. If you ain't black, just stay true.